Hello everybody, this is Vinny back with the Dawnbreaker Dota 2 7.29 tier list. Obviously we're making this tier list very early on in the patch, but I think that's when it's the most fun to do, because we're going to be making the most bold predictions before everything's figured out, and then at that point it's a little redundant. So, this is my prediction. Go ahead and check out the older tier list if you want to, figure out how accurate I was in the past, which I would say was very considerably accurate. So, let's start actually with S and F. Get the top and the bottom out of the way right off the bat. So, in S tier, Huskar. I read the patch notes and I said immediately, okay, Huskar is back. But I did not know just how back Huskar was. Turns out he's incredibly back. His win rate has gone through the roof. We're talking like 8% gain in 2 days on Huskar. The amount that buff mattered, so that Burning Spears only gets rid of 3% of your health instead of 4% of your health. Like, that's insane. That's just straight up 25% less self-damage. And the Shard is also insane now, too, so that while stunned, you can disarm your opponents. And most of the time, you're dying to physical damage as Huskar. So being able to disarm your opponents while stunned, that's no joke. The Ags is no joke with the taunt. That Ags is really quite good. And his items are looking pretty great right now too, specifically Armlet. Armlet, massive buff. So let's not forget, less damage from spears, less self-damage from Armlet. Armlet buffed in general. It's just, he got some better talents as well, slightly, with 25, because the other one was the attack range, which was useless. No one ever took that. You still don't take the other one anyway, but the point is, there's the option now. And yeah, the guy's just been dominating, and I think he will continue to dominate. Absolutely shreds people with his orb walk. And I think even really small things like less bounty runes, because Huskar is not a hero that wants to rotate, as well as getting some XP early on from the outposts, like prior to minute 10. I think those are all things that are slightly beneficial to Huskar, especially the second Roche dropping the Shard. Huskar's Shard, very good. Huskar, very good at Roshing. So you're taking the second Roche, before 30 minutes usually is the Huskar team. And you just get that Shard on your Huskar, or maybe somebody else if there's a better one. And that's a really big deal. That's just 1,400 extra net worth. That's coming out of the second Roche. And that's just so good for the Huskar. Then we have Oracle. So, when I started reading the patch notes, I was like, oh man, I hope they nerf Oracle. And then I was like, oh yes, finally, they nerfed the level 1 damage of his first ability. Like, wow, I've been waiting for this forever on Fortune's End. But then they actually super buffed the damage at level 4, so it's like, okay, it's a little bit worse in lane, but way better later on. And then also, no coincidence, he pairs perfectly with Huskar. It's the best Huskar pairing in the game, so Oracle was already A tier, I would say. And yeah, now he's just a little bit better. And then perfect pairing with Huskar, so I'm going to go ahead and throw him in the S tier because he's the best 5 in the game. And then we have PL. PL happens to own both Huskar and Oracle. So not only do you counter the other best heroes in the game, but his Shard is way too good. Like, what? Why does his Lance just deal so much damage? And then the talents got buffed for that too. That was already a build. It was a bit of a rare one for sure. But in some games, that was definitely a build. The Octarine PL with the Shard. So yeah, I mean, the PL's been doing very well. He's just such a dirty last pick. Absolutely dirty last pick. And if you don't have an answer for him, expect to lose to him. Then we've got the F tier. So we're going to go top and bottom this time. Warlock, he's been so bad for so long now. I don't understand. They never really compensated him for losing his insane experience talent. They even nerfed the Aghanims so that the golems are less spread out, which means less stun. He's so bad at high tier. He's so bad. Sniper still terrible. The new take aim is like good for core. Sniper, it's good, like it's better, but its hero's still really bad. Pretty surprised he did not get more. And I thought about this, but at the end of the day, I think, yeah, Dawnbreaker, the new hero, is trash right now. it's been a long time, maybe never, in fact. I think there's never been a trash new hero, but they've finally done it. And I'm okay with that. Now, there has been situations in the past, like with Snapfire and Void Spirit when they were new, where people thought those heroes were bad. They were not bad. They were more complex, and people were not good at them yet. And then they got overbuffed, and then they got nerfed a lot after that. Dawnbreaker, on the other hand, less complex, less versatility, and is doing even worse than Snapfire and Void Spirit was when they were new. So, yeah. I don't really like it. The first ability is good. I will say the first ability is good, or it scales well at the very least. In the early game, it's not that good. But it scales super well. However, she can be interrupted out of it. That's such an annoyance. Like, you kind of need BKB. You can also be interrupted out of channeling your ulti. That doesn't feel... I don't know. I don't feel like that needs to be in the game. I don't think those need to be able to be interrupted. The second ability is pretty meh. The damage is meh. You can move a short distance, which is okay. Maybe get like a longer cast range so you can move a better distance. Or maybe something that could be cool would be like you could hold the button for it so that you could drag yourself to the hammer and decide how far you want to go. Something like that. And the third ability is really bad. I read it and I was like, yeah, you're maxing this last for sure. But in practice, it's even worse than I thought. It's really sucky. After 3 hits, you get an 80% bonus to your damage and an incredibly tiny heal. It's bad. Really bad. The ulti seems like it should be good. It is kind of good, but I mean, there's Nature's Prophet, but he has tools to actually win the lane. Spectre ulti makes ulti look like trash. So, not really, not really liking Dawnbreaker at all yet. Hero has the worst win rate in the game, including in high level. So, noobs are losing with it, pros are losing with it, everyone's losing with it, so I don't think she's good at all. In fact, she's trash. She's in grief tier for a reason, but she will get buffed. That's the good news. Okay, on to A tier for the amazing heroes. Significant moves here include CM and Lifestealer. Lifestealer, huge buff, getting back part of the old feast where he does max health as damage. Keep in mind, it's max health, not current health. So that means, like, you're doing, even if they're at super low HP, you're still doing the full 1.2% bonus physical damage of their full health total. So, yeah, I mean, that was just a gigantic buff. His shard is gigantically buffed. His shard is really, really good now. It's like old open wounds, but better. And yeah, he's been taking off in the win rate. Grimstroke, super good right now. Fully climbed his way out of being bad. Crazy, crazy. Mirana, you could make an argument for S tier on Mirana as well. Dark Willow, solidly an A tier now. She got big buffs, not entirely sure why. The shard is insane on her. A lot of good shards now, by the way. They really made a point of buffing these shards. Wyvern is another big move, as a lot of people did not consider Wyvern good before. Wyvern, however, her win rate exploded. Her abilities, huge buffs, like 8-second less cooldown on your level 1 Q is a really big deal, especially considering you want to max Splinter Blast second. You got a buff to a 50% buff, as a matter of fact, to your healing ability at level 10, which is nice if you're playing 5, because the damage wasn't so good. It was so much that you took it anyway, because it was just that much. But now that they buff your heal so much, it makes sense on a support. The Hex Brothers, Lion and Shaman, are up here. Timber I put up here still, but maybe I should have put Timber in B. He was nerfed pretty decently, but he's an incredibly dirty last pick, but because he's a bit situational, yeah, I probably deserve to be in B. So, Abaddon is also a new one. Abaddon saw a bit of a surprise surge at the major, and he got buffed. So, I'm going to make the call here that Abaddon got a lot better. The item builds for core Abaddon got a lot better as well, and for support Abaddon, Holy Locket got a lot better as well. In B, we've got Drow Ranger climbing her way out of like D tier. Drow Ranger, a lot of mobility creep nerfed for super immobile heroes like Drow. That's great. That is great. You love to hear that. And then Dazzle made his way out of D as well. I've been pleasantly surprised by Dazzle. This shard is really good, and it helps you clear whole armies of illusions like PL, like Naga, and the Poison Touch. If you don't have a Purge, if you're not landing against a Purge, that ability is really, really annoying to deal with. And Grave cooldown just keeps getting buffed, so you don't feel so bad leaving that at 1 point. And yeah, I mean, the hero's win rate has gone up a lot. All the spirits finding their way into B tier this time around. Pretty much they were all in A tier before, but they've all been hit with a little bit of nerfing, so... And I'm glad for that. I think the spirits have been way too big of staples for too long now. Making his way out of D tier was Invoker. Invoker 1 or like 0 picks at the major, the Singapore major. But his win rate has exploded because he's getting stats now from every level. He's getting stats from his orbs like he used to. Made a big deal. Upgrade to his shard. And yeah, I mean, the hero's just... When even at low tier, when Invoker has an above 50% win rate, that is a really scary sign, because this is one of the hardest heroes in Dota to be good at. And it is an above 50% win rate, including even low-level pubs. It's higher in Immortal pubs, so... Like... He might even end up being A. We'll see what happens there. Pango finally knocked down from S and A of the past. Queen of Pain coming up quite a bit. Her win rate gone up by a lot for what seemed like pretty minor buffs, but they were not. Tusk finding himself down in B because he took some big nerfs and Necro got removed from the game, so you can't abuse that with Tag Team. Now in C tier, a lot of heroes in C tier this time around. Pretty well-balanced patch, you could say. So in C tier, we've got some people like Bane, and by people I mean purple demons, purple people demon eaters. Bane was so bad before. Man, he was really, really bad. He got picked once by Puppy and he got destroyed at the major. Bane really sucked. Like the passive Enfeeble was good, and then the new one was really bad. So his Enfeeble got big buff, got some talent changes that were kind of buffs. So, I mean, his win rate's doing above 50, so I don't feel right putting him down in D, so I'll go ahead and give him C. Brew, also up from D to C. Still don't think this hero is good, but it's okay now. Pugna got a lot better, making his way up. Might even end up being in B. Pugna, we'll have to wait and see. Faceless Void, Spectre, and Sven. These were like some of the most OP heroes of 2 patches ago. Now have all been brought back to being okay. All of those heroes are now okay. Necro is okay now from being trash. Silencer is okay now from being trash, but I wish he got a bigger buff. And then we've got Tiny. Tiny was even in Grief tier in my last tier list, but Tiny has gotten a lot better, especially Core Tiny, which is exactly what I asked for and what I wanted and predicted, because he's just been a support for way too long. His combo's been way too good. So they finally buffed his right-clicking insanely, especially with the shard. So now he finds himself actually viable as a core. Now in D tier, I would say the most surprising inclusion here is PA, but PA's win rate is pathetic in pro-level pubs. 42% win rate. This is a hero that I never feel the need to ban. I just feel like it's a very fair hero, even though it's RNG based. But yeah, I mean, everything lanes well against PA if you're an offlaner. Hero is so weak to being controlled. Her talents got nerfed again for the most part. And yeah, I mean, Battle Fury taking a big nerf, and this is one of the biggest Battle Fury builders. Alchemist also a big Battle Fury builder. Greed got nerfed as well. Less bounty runes on the map is a massive nerf for Alk. Massive nerf for Alk, so this is why I'm putting Alk in D. Bat Rider continues to have a trash win rate, so I'm going to leave him in D. DK might end up working his way up to C. This hero did super duper bad in the major, despite seeing a couple picks. I don't know why I was being picked. Maybe it really was the anime, but yeah, DK sucks, man. I hate DK. It's such a boring hero, such a slow type of hero, and I don't know. I just don't think he does enough. He needs so much farm, but he's not good at farming, so I don't like him. Spirit Breaker actually might move up to C, but when you nerf move speed, the most move speed relying hero in the game is going to be sad, and that is Spirit Breaker. Because not only is move speed obviously really good for a charge, but it also increases the damage of your bash, so that really hurts. Lycan, no Necro. Lycan is very sad. Beast is actually less sad, I would say, because he got more buffs to compensate. So, yep. Lone Druid, virtually no buff, despite being virtually unpicked, so I'm not sure what happened there. Same with Viper, virtually no buff. In fact, even some nerfs, kind of. Like, the damaging buildings talent was actually kind of good. And now you got some trash double corrosive skin. It doesn't even double the damage. So yeah, wow, it sucks. Slardar nerfed his move speed big time. Sucks now. Sky. What were they thinking? Sky is so bad, and they, like, didn't buff him. They virtually nerfed him, because they nerfed the damage on his Q. Why, though? Why would they do that? Gosh, it's so sad. And then Hoodwink. Hoodwink will get buffed. I mark my words, Hoodwink will get buffed. They added her to Captain's Mode. Whenever they add one of these new heroes to Captain's Mode, they always want to nerf it to make sure, you know, it's not in every game and there isn't some sort of insane imbalance in the pro scene. So they over-nerfed. Pudge and Techies finally making their way out of Grief Tier. No Necro Book. Great for Techies. Can't blow up those mines. Can't scout the mines. Pudge getting pretty significant buff and having a not so griefy 47% win rate. It's definitely bad, but it's not straight up griefing anymore, at least. So, alright, please everybody, let me know what you think of our 7 points. By R, I mean me and my cat here. So R, I take that back, I mean our tier list. Go ahead, please leave a comment and like if you liked. See y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching. It's been Vinny.